All right, guys, this is part 9. And in part 9, we're going to go ahead and get into the software. So if you look right above here, here's the web address of the software that we will be using. It is myonlinetaxoffice.com. So make sure you write that down so you will know what website that you will go to get into the software. All right. Once you receive your PTIN number and you email it to me, I will make you up a username, and a password for you to be able to enter into the software. Okay, let's get started. Whenever you come into the software, immediately you're going to see the clients that you have been working on. So your screen is probably going to be blank. This is my office screen, so this is why you're able to view some of the tax repairs that I do have. But just for this video and this training sake, we're just going to only focus on estimates in the software, and I will go through all the other features of the software at a later time. So once you log in, the first thing you want to do, because we're about to do a free estimate, you want to look over here to the left, and then you want to click on where it's a refund calculator. Okay. So at this time that we're in the software, we just got done talking about in part 8 about the quick tax estimate questionnaire. So keep in mind, you have already asked those questions, and we're just gonna say that they told us that they were single, they had one dependent, age 5, and that they had W-2 income. So I'm about to go through here and show you how easy it is to give someone an estimate. Once you get used to it, you really should be quoting estimates 30 seconds to a minute. All right. So we said the person is single, and we said the person have children. Look at there's 5 icons, guys. So if they're single, just where it says single, just click single. If they told us that they was married, this is where we would have checked married. If they told us they had kids, this is why we did kids. And then if they own their home, like head of household, we would have checked the home down here. So easy, easy, easy. All right. Once you do that, listen, here it is, guys. We already talked about filing status. They told you that they were single. You're just going to come right over here. I don't have to go through what all these mean again, because I taught this, if I'm not mistaken, in video 2. You can go back and listen to the video if you still don't understand it or need more information. So we're just going to put single, and we're going to hit next. All right. Enter the date of birth and check out that apply. During a free estimate, you do not have to ask them for their date of birth just to get an estimate, because keep in mind, it's just a free estimate. Based on what you tell them, that's going to determine if they're going to decide to, use you as their tax preparer or not. And if they do at that time, that's when you will collect that information. So when you get to this page, you just leave that blank. This is going to be already pre-filled, but I just want to let y'all know what these two mean. Can be claimed as a dependent on another return. They want to know if your client can be claimed as a dependent on another return. Well, if they could, they wouldn't be filing their own taxes, right? But it is a case where a mom could be filing a 16-year-old, and the 16-year-old did work at a grocery store or something like that. So if that, by law, you have to be 18 to at least file your taxes in most states. So a 16-year-old, even though they do have income, that mom still would carry them. But this is going to be pre-filled in. Following with an ITIN number. Let me go over what ITIN mean. Basically, those are numbers that foreigners are here on visa or something like that, they won't have a social security number. They will have what's called an ITIN number. Okay. So when you get here, it's gonna be pre-filled. You just hit the next button. But I just wanted to make sure that you understood what these two meant. All right, children and other dependents. So this first section is gonna be dealing with the child tax credit. Okay. And this section is going to be dealing with earned income credit. So let's deal with this section first. All right. First of all, these two questions will not be in your software. This is from last year when the government was giving out advanced child tax credit payments. So this won't be in here. The only questions that we need to worry about is from this one on down. So basically, they want to know how old is the child. All right. Now I told you that we was doing single. We had one dependent, and the child was 5. So this question is asking children under the age 6 with a social security number. Well, if we have a 5-year-old, we're gonna put there's one child that's under the age 6. All right. Once we find the right field for this question, we really can move on to earn income credit. But I just want to tell you what everything means. So children under the age 6 through 17. So if the child was 10, instead of checking here, you would have checked here because 10 falls between 6 and age 17. And then down these two sections, basically children under the age 18 with an ITIN number. And remember, most people that's here in the U.S. on visa have ITIN number. So in this scenario, we do not have an ITIN number. And then other dependents, we just can leave that blank. All right, so we filled out the first part for the child tax credit. Then we're going to go to the earned income credit. And they're asking you the ages for the earned income credit. Well, we know that we have a 5-year-old, so age 18 and under. This is the field that we're going to fill out that pertains to our client. But if they was over the age 18 and under the age 24 and a full-time student, we would have put the mark there. If it was one child or 2 kids, we would have put it there. And then if they was over the age 18, but they was disabled, that we would have filled out that field at that time. And this is just an introduction to the estimator. We're going to do many, many, many examples so you will understand this estimator from head to toe. All right. And if they had no children, you would check this box. If they was at least 24 or at least 19 and not a former foster child, or at least 18 and is a former foster child or homeless youth. But most of the time, when I have somebody that do not have dependents with no children, I check this box because they at least 24 or older. All right. So let's hit next. All right. After you fill out the filing status and the ages on the kids, and keep in mind, where did we get this information from? This information came from where? The questionnaire. So keep in mind, you have already asked your client these questions and you have this information, and this is how you're able to come in here and fill it out. Now, we said that our client had a W-2, okay? So we're going to click on here, and then it's going to ask you for the wages and the federal withholdings. Keep in mind, when you're doing early estimates, some people do not have their W-2 yet. So this is why you have to ask them for their last check stub. On their last check stub, you're going to use the gross year to date for the wages. And let's just say that it's a $12,000. And then you're going to look for the year to date where it's a federal withholdings. We will go over how to read a check stub, and I will have different samples up there to make sure you will understand how to find this information. All right, let's just say the federal withholdings was $500. So when you ask them, hey, what type of income are you filing? You just basically what they tell you, you just go through here, find the income, click on it, and enter it in. All right. Now, let's go over, even though we know we have a W-2, we're going to leave that in there, but let's go over interest and dividends, gains and losses. So interest and dividends, let me tell you what that means. All right. And keep in mind, they have to give you a form for every type of income that they will be filing. So if someone has a interest and dividends form, they will give it to you, and it will have the numbers on there to key in. But interest and dividends, just an example of that is that most people that have a savings account, I don't know if you ever noticed this on your savings account, but you can look on your savings account, and at the end of the month, it may tell you that you made interest on your money or dividends on your money. All right. So that's a type of form where people who have money sitting up in the bank or maybe in mutual funds or things like that, and they have made interest and dividends on their money. Keep in mind, they will have to give you a form for you to be able to key this in. All right. Gains and losses. This could be dealing with the stock market and things like that. IRA pension, that has something to do with their retirement. And keep in mind, they will give you a form that will say IRA and pension and things like that. So you will know exactly what to do with it. Social Security, most older people, if they had a spouse or a child pass away, anytime the government put you on Social Security, you have a form for that. Unemployment, that's cut and dry. If they receive any type of unemployment funds for that year, they do have to file unemployment by law. W-2 gambling, that's simple. That's somebody who went to the casino and they won some money, and so the casino mailed them a W-2G for gambling, and that they do have to file that on their tax return. And self-employment, basically, we know what self-employment is. Self-employment is anybody who have a side hustle or a business, okay? People who do hair, barbers, landscaper, basically whatever your hustle is, that's your self-employment income. So there's a lot of people that might not have a W-2. They could say that they're self-employed. You would just ask them, hey, how much money did you make for your business or your self-employment income? They will give you that amount. So here are the incomes, and we're just going to stick with W-2 for now, and we will go over all of these again at a later time. All right, adjustments and deductions. Let me go over this column. We do not use this column a whole lot, but I can't really say what type of clients that you may run into. So if you run into someone and say, hey, I gave money to the church, or I gave money to Goodwill, or things like that, this is when charity will come in place. All right. State and local tax. All right. This comes in, put it down. This comes in place. Personal property tax. Okay. So if somebody like bought a car or something like that and they had to pay tax to get that car, they can claim the taxes that they paid on their car here. And this right here is talking about state income tax. It's talking about the sales tax, which someone who have a business that had to collect the state taxes. This is not your average client. I just want you to make sure you understand what that means. Medical costs. So if anybody had any medical bills or things like that, they can claim it. IRA deposit, if they put money into their retirement account. Student loan, guys, keep in mind, we're not talking about the student loan credit that could give someone $1,000. We're talking about the interest that they student loan occurred while still having that loan. Educator costs, if they're a teacher, they can claim up to $250 if they had to come out their pocket with anything. And then we all know what alimony paid mean that a divorced couple and the husband or the wife is paying alimony, and they can claim that on their taxes that they paid the other person alimony. All right. This is the adjustments and deductions column. Let's be clear on this. Credit makes up a person refund, gives them money back on their refund. Adjustments only adjusts their income, and deductions only help for as deductions go. Basically, this column really helps people who owe money when it comes to deductions, or people who made a whole lot of money when it comes to adjustments. So keep in mind, this is not a credit. So if somebody tell you they gave $10,000 in charity to the church in tithes, that does not mean they're going to get $10,000 back on their taxes. Okay? And we're going to go through all of this even more and more and more to make sure you have it. Next, select all that apply. So look, we're dealing with credit. So you know what credit means, right? Putting more money on their refund. So daycare paid. Okay, you're going to ask them, because there is a credit that if they paid daycare this previous year, They got up to 50% back, if I'm not mistaken, on